Africa TV Freak Up Studio Live. 2022 GSL Season 1 Code S.
Hey everybody, welcome to day 3 of GSL. We're going into Group C here in the round of 20. How you doing, Artosis?
Hey, so I'm doing quite well. Hey, how about yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. I think today's group is going to be an interesting one. I think Rogue a clear favorite to get out of this quickly. And then
Really? I think he's a little bit of an underdog going up against NightMare.
Yeah, that would make the day very cool if actually NightMare beat Rogue.
Yeah,
or
but
made
let's
it close.
let's not even talk about that. I'm like, yeah, it would also be cool if the sun exploded and engulfed the Earth right now. That would be really neat as well.
Look, that would also not be cool, but yeah, what are you saying?
More likely to happen.
Yeah, probably more likely to happen. Look, I think Rogue gets out of this group. Very likely Zoun, maybe. ByuN, it's possible. NightMare, that would be very exciting.
Yeah, if NightMare wins any maps tonight, I'm pretty happy for him. I just don't think he's anywhere near the level of his 3 opponents.
He's one of these players in the GSL that is, I think, a very important player to have because he represents the new generation of players who might be able to rise up in the ranks, the players that are not regulars that we have here in season after season after season of GSL. So, if I'm him, I'm going to look at this and say, okay, how can I best perform? How can I take this experience in the studio and really capture, gain those RPG experience points? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
kind of
totally.
level up from this, and who knows, maybe he plays well and does something incredible.
Love to see it. Here's our results so far, guys. We do have 2 Zergs and 2 Terrans so far getting through. Today we do have 2 Protoss playing, but again, NightMare we can't see with too much of a chance, so kind of hoping here that Zoun can have a good day, but of course if he does, that means that either ByuN or Rogue is going to have a bad day.
Yes, that would be.
It's not a zero-sum game here, Tasteless.
It's like a.
Oh wait, no, it is a zero-sum game.
the whole way that these brackets operated is the most zero-sum game there could be. But who knows? Maybe in the future we'll just give trophies to all the players, Artosis. What do you think about that?
That's the world I want to live in.
That's the world where the pro gamers grow up okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, good to be back here with GSL Code S. This is going to be a quite possibly very one-sided one. I mean, Rogue is one of the GOATs, man, one of the most dominant players of all time. Making cat ears with the results here in the last GSLs on our graph.
Yeah, you're right. That is cat ears. And of course, this guy is one of the GOATs, if not the GOAT, in StarCraft 2.
Yeah.
Of course, had a pretty good Katowice there. Nice little round of 4 finish. But, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think he's probably the favorite for this season. I mean, he's generally the favorite for everything, right?
And here we've got young NightMare. And you can see his graph. Not a lot of activity on there.
No, not too much. It's been a while.
I find that funny that we still at least showed the graph.
Yeah.
Instead of just having a statement like no activity. So yeah, I mean, he's here. He's gotten this far. I think when you're a player like NightMare, and look, this guy is actually very good. It's just unfortunate he's paired against Rogue to start things off, right? It's I think hard to kind of capture the potential of this player when you go against somebody who, it doesn't matter who goes against Rogue. Rogue is likely to win. But this is an important moment here for NightMare, as it is for any pro gamer, when you're going up against seasoned veterans in their own, I guess you could say, home turf. I mean, how many GSLs has Rogue won, right? And along with everything else that he's won. So it's going to be a real testing ground as we start this best of 3. NightMare versus Rogue. Game 1 on Glittering Ashes starts now.
GSL Season 1. Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Rogue. Team MB, NightMare.
Do we actually know the age of NightMare? Look on my phone.
Do not know. Probably one of the younger players, though. A little reminder for people, NightMare was the first player to professionally use DT Blink after it came into the game. He went for charge plus DT blank.
I feel like that's his claim to fame.
Yeah, it is. That's basically it. Yeah, he's quite liked Heroes of the Storm. Played a lot of that. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. Never really know what type of shape he's in, because we don't see him in tournaments all that much. You can see he has played against Rogue online a little bit, but he's never played any of these guys offline, so just throwing that out there. I'm interested to see what he'll bring today. I think he is a relatively creative player, so we could see something interesting.
This is born, it says February 23rd. That doesn't help me.
Oh, it was his birthday recently.
Yeah. So I guess we won't know his age.
Well, he's at least like 6 months old or so. No,
Yeah.
he's at least a month old.
Yeah.
But no, we saw him a few years ago, so he's at least like 4 years old.
It's not very helpful, Wikipedia. All right. But anyways, he's definitely one of the younger players here. And, we've got a couple other guys like this that are newer, that are, about a generation below some of the players that we're used to seeing. And look, when we started StarCraft 2, we had players like Nesty, who were, I think basically 30 when they were having their success. And we have players like DRG, who right now is older than ST was. So, the age of pro gamers is rising. That's true, actually, in every game. That, players are proving that they can still be competitively viable as years pass. I think despite, weirdly enough, a lot of stigma, especially in Korea, which I don't know where this really came from, but people kind of thought like, oh, there's no way you can be professional in any game. This is like the big talk like 15 years ago. Yeah. That if you're like past 22, it's going to be impossible. And now it's like...
For a long time, that stayed to be the truth, but honestly, I think you're right. It's just not something that people need to think about all that much. I wonder, are players getting older in other leagues as well, like League of Legends, for instance? Are they getting older, or is it still the young kids coming up? Because
they're definitely still younger than StarCraft in general, but there's some of them are aging. Well, they're all aging. What I was saying, some of the other ones are staying. Yeah. In that league, I think there are some parameters that make it a little bit more complicated. Like if you're on a team game and you're sponsored, then you probably need to be in a team house practicing with that team. Yeah. And so there's some things that are either more or less appealing about that, right?
Yeah, of course.
I think you get older, at some point in time you don't want to live with especially a bunch of people.
Well, yeah, I think
kind of a normal thing.
Not just that either, but I think StarCraft, we're seeing older and older and older players for sure. Yeah. I think if the Kespa teams were still here, it wouldn't be the case, because they would just cycle in the newer players consistently.
They'd probably have a more rigid structure.
Yeah, and so it would be much harder. Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing, and I hope that it continues, that old people stay good. I'll let you know, Tasteless.
Or get good, man. Yeah. No, it's I think as years pass, I think Street Fighter's probably the big example of this, where like they really have players that are just getting older and older, and it doesn't seem like young people have some kind of unique edge on that. And I think StarCraft's probably the other one, StarCraft 2 and 1 for that matter.
Well, here we have a little bit of a depth pressure. Unfortunately for NightMare, an Overlord flew in and saw that he was having a Dark Shrine, so we have Spores coming up and the layer started. So it doesn't seem very likely that much damage will be dealt here.
Yeah, a lot of this is hinged on, oh, that's funny, yeah, the Roach Warren's going to be sticking out there. Again, Roach Warren, very easy to remake, and in fact, I almost wonder if it was better to keep the DTs alive. Okay. Well, definitely better to keep the Warp Prism and DTs alive, but this is already, we're at the point of a catastrophic start here. Yeah. We're at the point of, it's I don't want to say it's hard to mess up early game, because it's not, anybody can do it, but there's not that many ways you can mess up an early game that badly, but that's one of them. You lose the DTs, don't do damage, lose the Warp Prism, and right now probably have a pretty vulnerable third base.
Yeah, that's about the worst thing that could ever really occur. Wow. I would have put money on Rogue before the match, and then if he had gotten the DTs away, if he had killed the Roach Warren in 2 cleans and gotten away, I would have still put money on Rogue. And now that he basically only killed a Roach Warren and lost all that, it's just, I can't imagine any Protoss being able to kill Rogue from here. But let's see, he's Well, I mean, he's going Blink, and he's making some Archons, making more gates, and there is a Spire on the way. So there's always the possibility that, you know, maybe Rogue goes into Mutas or something like that. It looks like he wants to.
I think he will.
And, you know, things can get messy if you get a couple good Archon hits, something like that.
It's hard to imagine Rogue letting that happen, though, but
yeah.
I see what you're saying. By the way, you know, rough game here for NightMare in general for the kind of player he is. I mean, he's very green compared to these other pros, especially Rogue, who's like literally the veteran of veterans. It's so, you know, let's see how he can handle the rest of not just the series, but these games today. Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't too bad for harassment. Takes a little bit of hull damage there on the Prism, unfortunately. See if he can do a bit more. Some Stalkers coming out now. Rogue just kind of chasing everything back with these Queens. Some Roaches coming up as well. Nice transfusion there.
Unfortunately, nothing here to defend, so the battery's going to go down. The probes will most likely go down. And now we need to see, you know, is NightMare going to have enough to bust into this 5th base in the center right? I think the answer is likely no, because those Lings, it wasn't that many that were going back there to counterattack. So I think that we shouldn't be in this game for much longer, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I mean, he would have to really win this battle right here, and with 18 Roaches being made, it doesn't seem too likely.
Yeah, I think we're getting to the point where it's almost mathematically impossible for any Protoss to recover, especially against the likes of Rogue. And to be frank, you know, from NightMare here, a very clunky game. Very rough around the edges, a little bit sloppy in execution. I think the idea, not a terrible one to try to go for the surprise DT. But, you know, this is kind of one of those, like, I hope he's not ready strategies, which is sometimes a great way to play. I mean, I guess if you can pull it off, then you get a good win. But I feel like the problem when facing off against Rogue is Rogue doesn't seem to have a lot of these kind of soft, squishy areas in his play.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why he wins everything. So.
Yeah, that's a lot of Roach Ravager coming up right now. Rogue up about 70 supply here. Okay, an offensive blink into that. I mean, he already knew he was dead anyways.
Yeah. That was like you blinked through the katana and cut yourself in half. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
that is what that's like.
Leatherface is coming after you with a chainsaw, and instead of blinking away, you blink through the chainsaw. You blink on top of it, it just gets split immediately. That's what that is.
Oh my gosh.
You're a wizard, Rogue.
Well, it was such a rough start for NightMare. I don't mind the idea that he opened up with, but Rogue scouting it, and that's the thing. Rogue is going to make sure he's scouting whatever NightMare is up to here.
You know, you can get the wiggles, man. You can get the shakes when you really start to play and the pressure's on. I even had a little bit of that when we went to the pre-pandemic ACS qualifiers. I'm like, ooh, okay.
Yeah.
We're playing in accounts, you know, and the adrenaline's going, but of course, you kind of get the voices in your head a little bit when you're playing. You got to shake that off and go forward.
So
you know, for Rogue, this is no different than him eating a sandwich.
Yeah.
You know.
In fact, maybe less stressful than that.
Him boarding a bus. You know, and this is just a normal day in the life of Rogue, but for NightMare, I mean, the pressure is on. This is kind of the pinnacle of all his training here.
Yeah.
All right, guys, game 2. Good luck, NightMare. Rogue has a 1-0 lead.
2022 GSL Season 1. Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Rogue. Team MB, NightMare.
It is funny, man. You know, people are at different spots in their life at different times, even when they're in the same place, doing the same thing, right? Like we were talking about earlier, like for Rogue, this really is just eating a sandwich. You know,
getting on a bus.
This is putting his shoes on. It's like I do this all the time.
He knows how to tie his shoes.
Yeah, he doesn't go, it's time to put my shoes on. Oh! And he just, you know, wraps the laces around his neck. He doesn't get crazy. Whereas for NightMare, he's like, okay, I'm here. I'm in the studio. I watch GSL. I dream of being the champion. I've made my mark before. People kind of know about me if they're, you know, pretty hardcore into StarCraft 2. But now, now that was pretty sick.
That was
Double
good.
block on the pool. But yeah, I mean, it's something you got to keep in mind is like when you see these guys, or this guy, I should say, kind of mess his strategy up that badly. It's always interesting to see how they're going to play from here on out, you know? Why are you laughing at me?
I watched you put this thought together. If I was watching you stream right now, I'd be typing Peepo notes, okay?
Thank you, Artosis. You're so mean to me, Artosis.
I can't help.
It's just supposed to be my turn to try to say the thing, and I do my best. I open up different doors in my brain and kind of see what's in there, and sometimes I've got 2 doors open at once, and I'm trying to take 2 things out at once.
Yeah. Well, that's why
they both turn out to be dumb, and I'm trying to put them back in there, but not let people know what's going on. And
do you think NightMare is actually going to be able to win any games tonight?
I mean, after the first game, I think that no is a very safe bet, right?
Yeah, it seems like the nerves are there for him. You know, I made fun of you for saying that, but it does seem that way because you're not supposed to lose 3 DTs and a Prism trying to get a Roach Warren.
Yeah, it's fine to like see the Roach Warren and hit it, but then when you see the Spore coming, you go, okay.
Yeah.
Not fast enough.
It's not like you don't know the math there. Like anyone that plays enough StarCraft to be in GSL, like you can glance at a screen and you know exactly how much damage will go everywhere before everything dies. Like you don't have to be GSL level to know that. You know, and anyone that plays a decent amount can look at it and see that. So it's like clear that his decision-making faculties are not working perfectly here, right?
Yeah, well, I think it's like, especially in StarCraft 2, things happen so quickly, and you kind of get in this moment, and even if you've rehearsed it so many times at home, when you start to see that maybe I'm actually going to kill this building for free against Rogue, you know, your judgment kind of falls off, and you're not kind of automating your play. So much of like being a good player in micro is sort of the self-automation of doing that, and kind of you don't have to put much thought into it. You know those habits, you know how to do it, and it seems like it kind of fell off there, where what should have been the normal movement of units and the juggling of the DTs just didn't happen.
Yeah.
And instead he like committed onto it almost like it was a Hail Mary.
It was going to win the game.
And it's the Roach Warren, which is like actually not a big deal at all. Like you can remake that super fast. It's not worth the shuttle or the Warp Prism, excuse me, and the DTs.
Yeah, you're not going to win because you got the Roach Warren.
He doesn't go, no, it just only makes Zerglings and lose. So, yeah, I mean, this game, it's going to be an adept play. And I really do have a lot of compassion here for NightMare. I mean, this is an extremely tough opponent to go against. You got to do whatever you think you can do to win. So what we want to watch for now is the execution going to be there? This is where I get to kind of pretend it's like I'm judging ice skating or diving, you know? I'm like, how is the form?
Yeah. Well, he has glaives, so, you know, obviously you can't finish that. Plenty of Lings to deny this, but you don't have to shade in. Okay, an Immortal is on the way. Is this going to just turn into a 2-base all-in? He's got the 4 gas, so...
I mean,
no, 3 gas, 3 gas.
I think it could be a 2-base all-in.
Yeah, I don't think it's even a bad choice,
I think
honestly.
Before this game even started, you could say this could be a 2-base all-in, you know? But again, that's kind of predictable here for Rogue. I feel like with Rogue, you just want to be vigilant for any kind of suspicious stuff.
Yeah, these Lings getting a little bit of scouting done at least.
3rd Nexus, 3 gates.
Yeah, I think the Nexus is a fake, though.
Yeah,
like,
I think so.
I want to say he's going to 7 gates with these 3. It's like one of those placeholder Nexuses, you know? You, like, make it, and then your opponent's like, oh, maybe he's making probes. Oh, he's not.
And then he goes, is this your card? And you go, oh my god, magic is real. All right, nice drop here. This is what we want to see. So the layers started.
Yeah, and a Roach on the way. 2nd Immortal's going to be popping out here. I haven't seen it. Does he have any sentries right now? I don't think so. I feel like that's something you'd want to pop out already. It's got like 500 gas, but he hasn't made a sentry. And there's something to be said for brute force, but like, sentries are really good. Like if you're attacking like Guardian Shield Tasteless, you may have heard about it. 2 armor to everything against range.
Bubble gaming.
Bubble gaming.
All right, he's going to come up now. He's got the 2 Immortals.
Oh, the Lings get around the Immortals immediately.
Yeah, and actually shuts down the warp in, which is just going to make this army not bulky enough. They'll have to warp in further back. But, you know, once you get one big warp in to cancel, you've sort of lost the rhythm of the warp in waves, which is really what's so important when you're going to do these pressure builds. Because if you get that reset, it's like, okay, well, you can do it again.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Well, now we know exactly what's going on, too.
That
it's going to be harder and harder to make anything work. Backing up now. Blink is on the way, and he is adding probes in. So, you know, the game isn't, like, over or anything. He is trying to do a bit of a transition here. And into Blink Stalkers, I mean that's obviously the best choice that you have at this point. Clearing some of this creep. And I think being on the fringes like this is basically the only thing that you can do right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe up to, well, I mean, it could be Colossus, could be Disruptor. I think Disruptor would be much better here.
I think Disruptor's probably the way to go. I think you're going to get more damage out more quickly than you try to increment Colossi out here. But yeah, I mean, right now, it's 3 base to 3 base. We're going to see a 4th, I'm sure, very soon here from the Zerg. Seems like the 4th is certainly overdue. But now we've got a Baneling's Nest coming down here. Does he just want to try to kind of do a counterattack here?
Oh, the Baneling Nest...
maybe not with the Evo coming.
A lot of times when you see Baneling Nest, that's actually a good counter against Blink Stalkers. Like, you think that they're good against it, but actually when you have a big economy and everything, Banelings are going to do a good job. They're all very clumped up.
Right.
And especially if there's Colossi in there, you see that as a counter a lot. But yeah, it is going to be Disruptor.
28 Lings coming. And, you know, there's probably a lot of these are going to be Banes coming up here. No 4th base yet, which I got to say, you know, I'm a little bit surprised about. The game goes on. You can't match a Protoss on the same basis for that long unless you're going to try to take a fight.
It is kind of interesting, isn't it? Like the way that Rogue is playing it. It seems like he is very slow on this pace, but he has made a hell of a large army. But honestly, I mean, if NightMare micros well, it's doable with the army he has for sure, right? Like you have a couple disruptors out here. You have some force fields, Guardian Shield. Glaives is already done. He's got Blink.
He's getting more Lings, Hardy.
Well, with those Banelings being added, you're going to have to really nail your force fields, which is very hard to do on creep. So you see that Rogue's still pushing that creep out. 4th Nexus coming up for NightMare. He's putting out a nice game, isn't he?
He's
nothing's gone super well for him, but he's still playing nicely.
Economically, it's been tit for tat, man. He's keeping even, which, you know, in theory, is going to be bad for the Zerg if the game continues to pan out at this pace on both sides. I mean, in pretty much any game, the Zerg is supposed to be about a base ahead, about a base or 2 ahead, depending on, you know, how the early game went.
Yeah, Rogue is definitely looking for a good engagement because his army does not scale, and as long as NightMare doesn't commit on creep, he's gaining a bit of an advantage right now. But look at how many Lings and Banes are still being made.
I feel like this is not how Rogue normally plays. Is he doing this because he's against NightMare?
I think he's just being really careful, and he keeps thinking that NightMare is going to attack. And again, if NightMare had attacked on creep by now, I think he would have died. But he's not. So now Rogue is throwing down the infestation pit, so he is going to go up a little bit in the tech tree. But really, like, NightMare, like, being patient about it and pulling back, I think is throwing Rogue a little bit for a loop.
Well, I think, honestly, NightMare had a lot of patience. Hold on a second. Baneling's going to come in now. And
that's a lot of Banelings.
Yeah, that's a pretty devastating amount, but if these Banes can't get that many more probes...
Ooh, that's a good one.
This is actually like a pretty big loss of Banes, all things considered.
Yeah.
10 probes is a lot, but, you know, Banelings, they need to get value when they detonate, and if they don't, like most of them didn't back there, that's actually kind of bad for Rogue.
You know, if NightMare, because I see him making a Temple Archives, if he makes like 5 Archons and goes, he might kill Rogue.
Yeah. I think you might be right.
Like, that's what he really needs in this army right now. That's what's missing is Archons. Archons will help to suck up the Banelings, which is, like, that's the dangerous thing here for him. Now, he does lose this Nexus. A little bit painful.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I think if he had a little bit more stability back in his position at home, that would have just been defended. Seems like his whole control group maybe kind of 1-8'd back towards his main and left that open. And little victories like that can pan out into a big win here for Rogue as the game goes on, because now when you look at the minimap, it does look like a normal expansion distribution in a ZVP, with Rogue having that 5 and now NightMare actually retaking the 4. So
Yeah, let's see how he can engage here. Okay,
Nice.
some force fields, those are good force fields.
those are great.
Yeah.
But he didn't lock anything in with him. So he kind of like sandbagged the attack, but now they're gone, and I don't know how much more energy is here.
He's going up to 6 Archons right now. Okay, this is where you start to really eat the Banelings if your army's
Well, this seems like a
positioned
bad angle to
correctly.
hit in here for Rogue. Whoa, a lot of those
Wow.
Banes get through. But
Yeah.
there's so much back here for the Protoss. The Immortals are still in a great spot, and that seems like a pretty egregious overextension here from Rogue.
Yeah, he definitely damaged a lot. He did a lot there, and there are more units on the way, but this is a better army right now for NightMare, no question. You know, Rogue had some good moves, but yeah, I think he feels a little bit pressured to make this army do something for him, and it's hard to do off creep.
Well, there may be an opening now. I mean, NightMare, I think if he can get this next attack to execute very well, he's going to be in good shape. The Banes are going to come, kind of a weird blink. They sort of blink into the Banes. And if we don't have enough of these core units here, like the Stalkers and the Zealots, the Archons and the Immortals can't be utilized anywhere near as much.
Yeah, like, we need to see the Archons just tank a little bit more for Banelings. Okay, a nice blink to the north there, dodging some of the Biles. But it seems like Rogue is going to pop all of the Archons?
Yeah.
Is his production going to be enough to actually just clear this out, or are the Zealots going to end up
if it's going to be one, it's going to be with Stalker Zealot. The problem is I mean, there's 26 things, there's 4 roaches being made. Rogue is microing very well. But I think barely Rogue's going to hang on here. You know, without Archons here, the Lings.
Yeah, he doesn't have any of the long-term units, so if you just hit, like, enough to wipe this one time, you basically got the game as Rogue,
So he's got 2 Archons making.
Okay, that's really good. But these Zealots, can they even turn around and run?
Well, that's
I think
the problem.
they get picked off if they turn around.
Okay, actually, he might still have this. Now, no base has been killed. I want to point out the hatchery north of the War Prism is actually still there. See, it's still mining.
It might
So,
be,
like, this can be one of those moments where it looks like Protoss might take the fight, and then they sort of get their army reduced, and when the dust clears, that everything Zerg had is basically still there. It's all still kept intact. And you need to do, you know, heavy infrastructural damage. Now, that's a huge counterattack there with those Lings and those probes.
he does clean it up reasonably well, but any units that aren't made up here help Rogue right now. The Banelings get some hits there on the Zealots. The Archon's going to pull back for now. He definitely needs to kill that hatchery to the north, like you mentioned.
Yeah, he's
Very
kind of
important.
like, he's basically just trying to kill the army over and over and over, and like, this is a production point over here. That hatchery's so low, does he just go for it? Oh man, that's
Seems
gonna
like
be
he just
haunting.
can't. He'll just lose everything.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he can safely commit.
He's killed 31 drones, though.
Yeah, it's actually 35 drones to 63 probes, so that's a pretty impressive difference.
Yeah.
So even though the hatcheries weren't killed, the worker count has plummeted.
And look at what he's making right now. Archon Disruptor. That's like the most efficient army that you could possibly make against what he's fighting against. He has his 4th base back up and mining. And we don't see Rogue making any drones. So even though he has like a bunch of bases in quotation marks, he's really not mining like it. He does not even have 2 base saturation right now.
Seems like Rogue is almost looking for a fight to try to keep NightMare back here. I feel like we're slowly watching Rogue win this unless he can just take it. Like, I think long-term, Rogue is not going to be in good shape. He's trying to, like, take some micro fight up here.
Yeah.
And
He's trying to really get value right now while the Protoss army is small.
Yeah.
Because NightMare just needs a couple rounds and he'll be able to attack move through this. But if he can reduce the army, pick it off a little bit, get some good vials, that's where Rogue maybe can still win this game. I gotta say, it's like impressive stuff here from NightMare this game, win or lose.
Yeah, no, NightMare is, he's actually putting up the fight of his life here. I have some question marks surrounding the opening here from Rogue for sure, where I'm like, what is he, you know, just 3 bases and lings forever?
Ooh,
No.
a lot of these Archons are really low. I wish he had like an overcharge right now just to top off shields.
Yeah, he's keeping those ones in the back though. Yeah, that's the thing, man. Those shields take damage so fast.
Yeah, he's losing quite a few now. Rogue getting a lot of extra value here.
Dude,
and
he's dodging like
amazingly.
crazy.
This
This is Matrix dodging right here.
It really is.
Okay, it's only 2 Archons left here.
Pull that Archon back. Yes. Okay, that's a good overcharge.
So I think at this point in time, it almost seems like it's kind of an all-in. He's basically like hard-locked his economy, and he's just going to try to outmaneuver the disruptors. But seems like with those 2 disruptor shots, NightMare's going to win this game.
Yeah, he really is. So we go from just kind of a huge blunder and a terrible first game and questioning whether or not NightMare is going to be able to do anything today to really beating Rogue pretty straight up there. Like, he put on the pressure, and Rogue made an army to kill an attack. And he just kept making the army to kill the attack. And if NightMare had committed on creep, Rogue wins that game. But NightMare expanded. Like, he wasn't in a great spot when he took his 3rd Nexus or his 4th Nexus, but like, the way that Rogue was playing that, NightMare basically countered it perfectly. That was really well done.
Yeah, I think when NightMare identified that there was no good target to hit, it's like, where are those hatcheries that are making with creep coming towards them? You know, with drones. No, there's nothing. So he goes, all right, I'm going to wait. And then when the 4th base is very late taken, NightMare just does the same thing.
Yeah. Well, that kind of, I'm impressed. I want to see if he can maybe make some upsets here tonight. That would be amazing.
All right, guys, game 3 on Hardwire. Rogue versus NightMare. Let's do this.
2022 GSL Season 1. Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Rogue. Team MB, NightMare.
Now, it has crossed my mind that possibly the Zerg Illuminati had a meeting on Discord the other day and said, Rogue, you've won a lot of money, you've won a lot of tournaments. It's time to take one for the team. Okay, we need Protosses in the next round of GSL so that we can keep the balance as it is.
They had that meeting in the woods where they're all wearing bird masks and capes. Yeah. They're like, how do we just keep winning tournaments for a few more years? They said, while drinking children's blood from goblets.
Yeah.
And then one of the Zergs looked at the other. I mean, they don't know who it is because they all have bird masks on, right? But he said, why don't we just
they all
drop
have
a game to NightMare?
They don't know who each other are, but like, we know their accents very well. I'm like, okay, well, that's a Finnish accent right there.
That's definitely Korean.
That's quite Italian right there, that accent.
Yeah, man. Zerg Illuminati. Like, have you ever noticed that the pyramid on the dollar bill looks like a hatchery?
That's funny because it would look like a Nexus.
No, exactly.
That is especially funny.
So, I mean, look, NightMare did it. He's got to do it one more time, man, and then he's won the best of 3. The thing is, though, I feel like Rogue basically set up to, like, just stop down on a timing attack, and it looked like he was going to do a timing attack.
Yes.
It really looked like it. But, you know, at the same time, Rogue basically, like, hard counter that. He's like, no, we're just going to make an army.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep getting a bigger and bigger army. And I think NightMare did have the right idea. He pulled it back and said, all right, well, I can't attack then. Let's make more probes.
Yeah.
Let's expand again.
It was great decision
Let's
making.
keep upgrading.
Yeah.
Let's do all the stuff that we need to do to tick all the boxes for a macro game. And, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you're both making units like that, the Protoss army is going to scale better towards max, right? Like, you actually do need to get that other tech as Zerg. And yeah, Rogue was very late on that, so very well done. Like, that is the type of play that I really appreciate seeing, where you're kind of taking this situation that is not great for you and making the hard choice. Because, you know, if you're sitting there with, like, some damaged adepts that didn't do much, and, like, you're finishing up Blink and your forges are late and stuff, and you have, like, 2 Immortals that didn't do anything, you don't feel like, well, what I need to do is go 4 base and max out like this.
Yeah.
Right? That doesn't seem like it's the thing to do, but it really, really is.
And I'll tell you what, man. I think that NightMare has shown that even after a very catastrophic game 1, he's recovered, he's back. He's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Like, he can, and he just beat Rogue, so.
Yeah.
Well,
I think a lot of players there would have attacked earlier and just died and be like, ah!
Well, it's hard to pull out of an all-in. It's hard to pull out of a timing. You know, where you're like, all right, what, you know. And so to do that, and to just stay safe, and to not really overextend at all.
Yeah.
And even when he did that attack, he killed off enough drones. And I actually kind of, I get what happened with Rogue. He didn't make any more workers. He said 35 is going to be the number.
Yeah.
That's it. We're going to just try to, you know, micro dance with Ravagers and all in. I don't want to try to stretch this game out. Let's try to, you know, grind this game to a halt one way or another.
I don't think it was necessarily a bad call.
No, I don't think so.
He was semi-close to breaking him. You know, didn't quite do it, but yeah, not a bad idea. Look at this, another DT Shrine. So maybe that same type of play here.
Only not losing the Warp Prism in the DTs.
Hopefully not. Yeah, and maybe he won't get a scout up on the Dark Shrine this time.
Yeah, a lot of that strategy is hinged on them not being completely prepared for it. All right, nice value there. Stalker stays alive. He chases out the rest of those other units.
A lot of Lings being made right now. Few Ravagers out there, probably to try to flank the Prism a little bit as that comes in. Dude, there's real potential with this, actually. I like this. I could see NightMare winning here.
Yeah, he's going to have these Adepts come around. Now, we got to watch that third base, man, because, you know, if this third base gets taken down, then it's
definitely going
tough.
down.
3 bases is a lot more than 2.
There's just Zerglings being made right now. Wait, he canceled the Dark Shrine?
I don't see it.
He did. That's why I was like kind of very excited about this. There's like no layer or anything. Okay, well he's just gonna get broken. He doesn't have a Dark Shrine to warp into easily.
Dude, he's just gonna die.
That's funny because the Dark Shrine, like in a situation like this, you warp in 2 DTs and kill everything. You know?
Yeah. Well, what happened?
I don't know.
I guess our observer might have missed it.
Yeah.
Because I'm as confused as you are, man.
Yeah, I don't know what that was because I don't think an overseer, an overlord went in to see it.
Or if it did, we didn't catch it on screen.
But he didn't. He didn't send one in. Like I kept glancing down looking for that. So
yeah.
I'm really confused. I think it must have been a misclick. I'm not sure what else it could have been.
I have no idea. It's weird.
Huh. That's too bad. That was a very anticlimactic game, and I think that NightMare actually chose the right thing to do there, and then somehow things went wrong.
Well, NightMare's a bit beat up about it, but I'll tell you what, man. That victory against Rogue, a little feather in his cap.
Yeah.
I mean,
good.
He's got the hard part of the group out of the way. I don't think Rogue's going to be going to the losers match later on today. So
yeah, probably not.
Guys, we're going to have a break. Coming up next, TVP, ByuN versus Zoun. Stick around. We'll be right back.